Who am I? The shocking truth unveiled at 3 a.m. You won't believe what happens next. The clock ticked closer to 3, its hands moving with ruthless authority. In a dimly lit room, shadows danced across the walls, whispers of the unknown curling around Sarah like a cold breath. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. The air felt thick, charged with electricity, as if the universe itself was holding its breath in anticipation. What was about to unravel? A scream pierced the silence outside, sending a shiver down her spine. It echoed in her chest, a warning, a cry for help, but from whom? In that moment, odd memories surfaced, flickering images of places she'd never been. There was a park where the swings creaked under a moonlit sky, and a broken-down car on a dusty road that seemed both familiar and alien. Who were these shadowy figures around her? They smiled, but their eyes were dark, holding secrets that twisted her stomach in knots. Was she losing her mind? Or was there something deeply wrong with her? Tension crackled like static electricity. Each noise became amplified. The creak of the floorboard felt like thunder. She stumbled backward, heart racing, gathering the courage to confront whatever horrifying truth lay beneath the surface. Faces appeared and vanished in her mind. Strangers calling her name, desperation lacing their voices. They needed her? Or was it she who needed them? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The clock struck 3. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the shadows writhed as if alive. Sarah's breath caught in her throat as her phone buzzed violently on the table, displaying a number she didn't recognize. A sensation of dread crashed over her like a tidal wave. Who was calling at this hour? She reached for it, trembling fingers hovering over the screen, the world outside going eerily quiet. Would picking up the phone reveal the answers she desperately sought, or plunge her into deeper darkness? As Sarah's finger finally touched the screen, a jolt of cold fear zapped through her. The phone's vibration seemed to resonate with the pounding of her heart. She hesitated, her breath hitching, the sound of her own pulse drowning everything else out. With a deep, shuddering inhale, she pressed the green button. Hello? Her voice trembled, echoing in the silence of the room. A raspy breath responded. Sarah, you need to listen. Recognition clawed at her brain. The voice was familiar yet distant, like an old song she couldn't quite remember the lyrics to. Goosebumps prickled over her skin as the figure from her fragmented memories lurked in her mind. Who is this? She managed to croak. It's me, the voice said urgently. You have to find the key. It's the only way. What key? What are you talking about? Panic flared as the fear of the unknown spiraled. The clock's steady ticking felt like a countdown now, every second dragging her deeper into the abyss of confusion. The key to everything. To who you are. You're in danger. They're coming for you. Sarah. The ground beneath her seemed to tremble, as if it were warning her of an approaching storm. Before she could respond, the call dropped with a sharp chill, the silence loud and ravenous. She clutched the phone, staring at the screen as paranoia seeped in. Was she truly in danger? Or was this simply another manifestation of her unraveling mind? The room darkened further, as if the shadows conspired against her. She could hear faint scratching sounds, like nails on wood, creeping from the hallway outside her door. No, please, she whispered, her voice breaking. She had to answer the taunts of this mystery, to confront whatever terror lurked, but the instinct to flee clawed at her. She felt pinned to her spot, suspended in fear with a violent determination. She bolted to the window, heart racing, and peered outside. The street was deserted. The once lively neighborhood now looked like a graveyard. Shapes flitted past her peripheral vision, but when she turned, nothing was there. Was it imagination, or something darker? The phone buzzed again, and this time it was a text. Come to the old park. The swings will tell you everything. Midnight. Her pulse quickened as dread and curiosity tangled together like a knot. The old park? The one from her flashes of memories? The swings creaking under the moonlight felt more like a summons than a memory. Without thinking, she snatched her jacket, a fire igniting her resolve. She had to know the truth. But were the swings there to help her or to lead her straight into a trap? As she stepped outside, cool night air wrapped around her. The faint glow of the streetlight flickered, casting shadows that seemed to pulse with life. Each step toward the park felt like a challenge, as if the very ground was intent on stopping her. Just as she reached the end of her street, she heard it, a low whispering, rhythmic and hypnotic, calling her name. Sarah. At the sound, her stomach dropped. She turned back, heart hammering. But nothing was there, only darkness spreading like ink. Panic surged as the realization hit. She wasn't alone. What waited for her in the shadows? And would she unlock the truth of her past before it consumed her? With mounting terror, she pressed on, into the night, heading towards the one place that promised answers and potentially her end. But as she approached the park, the swings creaked, beckoning her like a siren's call. Could they truly reveal the secrets she yearned to uncover? Or would they unveil a nightmare beyond her imagination? The park loomed ahead, a ghostly silhouette against the moonlit sky. Shadows danced around her, and the creaking of the swings grew louder, more insistent, as if they possessed a life of their own. Sarah hesitated at the edge of the iron gate, the frigid air wrapping around her like an unwanted embrace. She shoved the gate open, its rusty hinges whining in protest. With each step, the grass crunched beneath her boots, echoing in the stillness. The play area had seen better days, reminiscent of laughter and childhood innocence, now a barren cage of memories. The swings, however, remained, swaying gently despite the lack of wind, calling to her with an unsettling familiarity. Why am I here? She muttered under her breath, feeling dread coil tighter in her chest. Her heart raced, a drum against the silence, keeping time with the whispers that barely touched her ears. Shadows drifted by, flickering at the edges of her vision, but she couldn't turn now. Not when she was so close to the truth. As she neared the swings, she noticed something glinting in the moonlight, half buried in the dirt beneath one of the chains. The key. Was this what she was meant to find? Gripping the swing to steady herself, she knelt down, digging frantically. Her fingers trembled as they found the object, a cold metal key entwined with the remnants of old leather. It was tiny, ornate, and beautiful, yet filled with an unsettling weight that made her stomach churn. Suddenly, a rustling emerged from the bushes nearby. Sarah's breath hitched as she shot up, clutching the key to her chest. Her eyes scanned the area, heart pounding like a caged bird. The rustle paused, then burst forth. A figure stepped into the pale light, cloaked in shadows. Sarah, the voice, familiar and haunting, sent icy fingers down her spine. It was him, the figure from her fragmented dreams. The voice on the phone. Who are you? She shouted, defiance rising in her despite the fear clawing at her throat. What do you want from me? He took a step closer, the moonlight illuminating his face, but obscuring the depths of his eyes. The key you hold, it unlocks more than you realize. You must hurry. They are coming for you, and you cannot face them alone. The urgency in his voice sent a jolt of adrenaline through her veins. What do you mean? Who are they? Questions flooded her mind, but as she opened her mouth to ask another, a sharp scream shattered the stillness. A woman's scream, echoing through the park like a death knell. No! The man lunged forward, grabbing Sarah's arm. We have to go. Now! Panic surged, but a primal fear rooted her to the ground. The swings swayed ominously, as if mocking her paralysis. Just then, a swift form dashed through the nearby trees, barely catching the light, something dark and menacing, a silhouette racing towards them. Run! He shouted, urgency painting his voice, but the shadows seemed to close around them. She tore away from him, darting towards the street, heart hammering in her chest. Just as she reached the edge of the park, she felt a chilling presence behind her, echoing the whispers, threatening to engulf her. Fear rose high, a tidal wave crashing over her senses. She had the key, but what did it unlock? And would she find safety, or would it lead her into the arms of the darkness chasing her? Desperation clawed at her as she sprinted into the night, unsure of the path ahead. In that fragile moment, she understood fear. It twisted and turned, morphing her thoughts. But deep down, a flicker of determination ignited. She would discover the truth, no matter the cost. Just as she thought she could breathe easier, laughter echoed behind her, laughter that was not just out of menace, but of something far more sinister. What lay ahead was the unknown, and she was about to unlock it, but would it shatter her or set her free? Sarah's feet pounded against the pavement, her heart thundering in her chest as if trying to escape the fear wrapping around her. The laughter floated through the night, a haunting melody that echoed in her mind, drawing her backward into shadows she desperately wanted to flee. Keep running. The man's voice pierced through her thoughts, urging her onward. She couldn't look back. Not now. The street lights flickered as she raced past them, each stuttering light casting sporadic patches of safety, only to be swallowed by darkness moments later. As every nerve in her body cried out in panic, she felt the weight of the key against her ribs, a small, cold reassurance that perhaps, just perhaps, it held the answers she so desperately needed. Stop! A voice shouted from behind. Sarah's breath hitched. Then she heard it, a rustle, a snap of twigs crunching underfoot. They were gaining on her. In here, she yelled, spotting an alley that shimmered with the dim light of an adjoining street. Without a second thought, she veered sharply, slipping into the narrow space. The damp air surrounded her like a fog, swallowing her whole as the walls encroached on either side. She pressed against the rough bricks, holding her breath, her pulse thrumming like a trapped bird. The laughter faded for a moment, replaced by heavy footsteps approaching. Did she go this way? One voice queried, slicing through the stillness with razor precision. Check the other end, another replied. We can't let her get away twice. The voices faded into murmurs, but fear kept her rooted in place. With the key buried in her pocket, the truth slipped just out of reach like a fleeting shadow. But what was she so terrified of? It wasn't just the sound or the sight of those figures. It was the unknown that loomed, the very thing that had chased her through her dreams. She felt a flicker of anger surge within her. What do I do now? She whispered to the night, her voice quaking. A sudden rustle broke the silence once more, and a silhouette stepped into the alley, blocking her escape. Sarah, I told you to hurry. This time, the eerie familiarity of the voice sent chills down her spine. The man from the park emerged, this time more defined in the alley's gloom. His eyes shone with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. They're getting closer. Who are they? She demanded, panic seeping into her words again. What do you know? Everything, he replied, his voice smooth yet laced with urgency. But we don't have time for explanations. You must trust me, or it'll all be for nothing. Trust felt foreign, dangerous, but swirling inside her was a yearning for resolution. Sarah clenched the key tightly, the ornate surface cold and grounding. If I follow you, will I finally get answers? Yes, he seemed to peer into her soul, as if gauging the depth of her determination. But it won't be easy. The truth is often buried in the darkness, and we must unearth it before they find us. The footsteps grew louder, a rhythmic thud that echoed like a war drum. We have to go now. He motioned for her to follow as he pressed farther into the alley, pulling her along. Sarah hesitated only a moment, wrapped in indecision and fear. Wait, she said suddenly, pulling away from him. Who am I? What did I unlock with this key? Every question will be answered, but only if you keep moving. His tone was urgent, dark clouds gathering in his gaze. Around them, shadows pulsated with life, energy churning in the air. Something in her whispered that the reality ahead wasn't just a mere unlocking of doors. It would tear open a truth painted in shades of fear and revelation. With her pulse racing, she forced herself to trust him. Lead the way. As they turned a corner, the laughter bubbled back up, growing louder and more sinister. And just as she thought they had escaped, a form dropped from above, blocking their path, laughter echoing in the night. What now? She gasped, eyes wide with shock. Now the real game begins. The tension in the air thickened, palpable with every heartbeat. Would they survive to uncover the truth, or would the shadows consume them whole? This was only the beginning of a storm, and it was headed straight for them. The figure looming in front of them was draped in darkness, its features obscured by the deep shadows. The laughter echoed ominously around the alley, a cruel serenade that danced wickedly with the tension in the air. Sarah's breath came in quick bursts as she instinctively took a step back. Move aside, the man commanded, his voice steady and fierce. The figure shifted, revealing piercing eyes that glinted like knives. You think you can just run away, Sarah? You have no idea what you've stumbled into. Who are you? She stammered, courage faltering in the face of danger. I'm just here to make sure you play your part. The figure replied with a smirk. His voice dripped with malevolence. After all, the game wouldn't be fun without a contestant, would it? Contestant? Sarah's mind whirled. She turned to the man beside her. What does he mean? Stay behind me, he urged, stepping forward to shield her from the threat. He wants to draw you into a trap. The laughter rose again, a cacophony that clawed at her insides. The pressure in the alley felt suffocating as her heart raced against the mounting horror. I'm not playing any games, she shouted defiantly. I just want answers. Ah, but that's the thing, I senti it? The figure mocked, flicking his wrist as if to wave her anger away. The truth doesn't come for free. It requires sacrifice. Sacrifice? The weight of the word hung heavy in the air. Each repetition of the laughter amplified her fear. What kind of sacrifice? Yours, he said simply, eyes narrowing. But don't worry. There are always other ways to win the game. Sometimes you just need the right key. Her fingers tightened around the key in her pocket, its coolness a reminder of the weight of her choices. You don't scare me, she shot back, sounding braver than she felt. Is that so? Because I can guarantee that those footsteps you heard are coming for you and they don't play fair. The figure leaned closer, the shadows around him swelling like a living thing. You're already locked in this cycle. All you have to do is decide how you'll play. An unsettling thought flickered in her mind. Was there a part of her that wanted to know the dark secrets that lay ahead? Was she willing to gamble her life for the truth? Sarah, we have to go. The man tugged at her arm, pulling her away from the sinister figure who seemed to relish her hesitation. No, she insisted, yanking free. I need to understand. At that moment, the echoing footsteps grew nearer, a drumroll heralding their approach. Panic surged as the figure smirked wider, reveling in the chaos unfolding. This isn't just a game for you. It's a puzzle piece in a much larger design. Stop. I don't want to be part of your twisted game. Too late, he said, laughing now, a sound filled with dark delight. You already are. And remember, the clock is ticking. Sarah's breath came out in shallow gasps. She was running out of time. The shadows pressed in closer as the laughter tangled with her thoughts, warning her that each moment could tip her into a greater darkness. Without thinking, she turned and fled down the alley, her heart pounding as if it might burst free. The man followed closely behind, urging her forward. Where do we go? She shouted over her shoulder, fear pulling at her every word. Anywhere but here. We have to find the truth before they catch up. Bursting into a wider street, Sarah barely hesitated. She had to uncover the answers that eluded her. But what truth lay hidden behind that key? And was she brave enough to face it? Just as she thought they might be safe, a shrill scream echoed from a nearby yard, catching them off guard. Frozen in place, she turned to the source of the sound. Her heart dropped. What did we just step into? She whispered, terror gripping her anew. The night was far from over, and what awaited them would challenge everything she thought she knew about herself. One thing was clear. This was only the beginning. What choices would they have to make next? And would they dare to unfold the layers of their fate? Sarah's heart raced as she and the man moved tentatively toward the yard where the scream had erupted. They stood on the edge of a manicured lawn, shadows of the grand trees looming above them. The remnants of fear clawed at her throat as her eyes scanned for movement. What was that? She whispered, dread pooling in her gut. It could be a trap, the man said, his voice a grim murmur. We need to be careful. But Sarah felt a magnetic pull toward the yard. Something was wrong, deeply wrong, and the need to uncover the truth pushed her forward. She caught a flicker of light through the darkness, a pale glow spilling from an open door. Stay here, she urged. But before he could protest, she stepped into the haunting stillness of the yard. The air was thick with tension, as if the very ground held its breath. Just beyond the door, an unsettling shuffle followed by a drawn-out whimper sent chills down her spine. With every step she took, the world shrank around her, shadows dancing at the corner of her vision. Sarah, the man hissed, concern threading through his voice. But she was already too far gone, a few determined strides carrying her closer to the source of the haunting sound. Crouching low, she reached the door, peeking cautiously inside. The sight froze her blood. A dimly lit room revealed a figure shackled to the wall, their eyes wide with terror. The bloodied cloth around their wrists spoke volumes, and a sense of urgency flooded through Sarah, threatening to spill into panic. Help me, the voice drifted, a mirror of her own fear reflected back at her. She couldn't see the captive's face clearly, but the desperation gripped her tightly. Who did this to you? Sarah whispered, her voice barely breaking the stagnant air. Don't trust them, the captive rasped, their gaze flickering to shadows looming just outside the doorway. It's a trap. They'll come for you next. Suddenly, sharp footsteps echoed in the distance, cutting through the tension like a knife. Sarah's heart pounded harder. We have to go, she urged, glancing back to the man, who was now standing alarmingly close, his expression a whirlwind of fear and anger. Sarah, we can't just leave this person, he protested, fists clenched in resolve. Do you want to end up like them? She shot back, urgency dripping from every word. We can't help if we're caught. Before he could respond, the shadowy figure from the alley appeared on the threshold, eyes glinting with malevolence. Looks like the games have begun, he taunted, stepping into the light. And here I thought you'd entertain me a bit longer. Run, Sarah shouted, and without a second thought, she yanked the captive's chains, attempting to set them free. The sound of the man's enraged laughter filled the air. You really think you have the power to change the game? He mocked, closing in like a storm. A chilling wind swept through the doorway, and Sarah felt the darkness tightening around her. She was distinctly aware that she was playing for her life. We have to leave. Now. With desperate hands, she pulled on the captive's ropes, but the binding was impossibly tight. The figure beyond them stepped forward, his shadow stretching, merging with the night. I gave you a chance, Sarah, he growled, the menace coiling around his words. But now it's time to choose. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut with a thunderous bang, echoing through the yard in a finality that sent electricity coursing through Sarah. Choose? She echoed, heart racing. Choose what? And just like that, she felt the weight of the key in her pocket, heavy with all the choices she would have to confront. What would she be willing to risk? And what darkness was she ultimately ready to uncover? The man beside her looked back, eyes wide with fear and determination. They were running out of time. As Sarah glanced between the captive and the looming figure, she whispered, we can't let fear decide for us. We're in this together. With that, she took a step back, bracing herself as the door rattled behind her. Would they fight back, or was it time to face whatever awaited them within the shadows? Adrenaline surged through Sarah as she faced the escalating tension. The room felt like it was closing in, shadows clamoring to consume them all. She pulled on the chains again, desperation clawing at her throat. Help me, she urged the captive. No, we have to go, the man yelled, his voice raw with urgency as he stepped back, edging towards the only path to escape. The shadowy figure smirked, relishing their fear. You really believe you can race out of here unscathed? He jeered, a predator reveling in his prey's panic. Choose wisely, Sarah. Each door holds a secret, and each secret brings a price. The captive's voice broke through the chaos. Please be careful. It's a game and we're just pawns. Their body trembled against the chains, eyes wide with a mix of hope and despair. Enough, Sarah hissed, feeling trapped physically and mentally. She lifted her chin, the key still heavy in her pocket. I won. Play your game. With resolve hardening her voice, she pressed her back against the now impenetrable door. Release them. I'll take their place. Just let me save them. The figure's laughter filled the room, slicing through the tension like a blade. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You wish to save, but saving can't exist without sacrifice. So tell me, what will you sacrifice to play? A dark thrill rolled through Sarah as she grasped the key tightly in her hand. The air crackled around her, and there it was again, a flicker of light, guiding her in the thick chaos. Sarah, please, think. The man's voice broke through her thoughts. You can't stay out of this. She shot a glance at him, her fear mingling with fierce determination. In that moment of defiance, she realized something crucial. They were both desperate, cornered by the dark and terrified of becoming victims. But what if they teamed up to outsmart it instead? The laughter faltered, and the shadowy figure narrowed his eyes, calculating. So you think you two can turn the tide? He asked, mocking. But Sarah wasn't listening. She reached for the chains binding the captive. There has to be a way. Focus, Sarah. The man shouted, urgency sharpening his tone. What if you... Before he could finish, a terrible crashing sound erupted from the shadows that lurked behind the captive. A figure began to emerge from the darkness, taller and more menacing than before. It bore an unmistakable resemblance to the man, but the malevolence etched across its features was unmistakable. Did you think you could escape the past? It growled, its voice a chilling echo of the man's. You can't run from the truth. Sarah's heart dropped, panic flooding her senses. What do you mean? She gasped. The dark figure loomed closer, its eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. Everything you think you know, Sarah, is a lie. Her mind swirled in disbelief. The man beside her shifted uneasily, caught between two realities as the air thickened, heavy with secrets. Don't listen to him, the captive shouted, but their plea was strangled in the chaos. What reality do you think is true? The shadowy figure taunted. Can you even distinguish friend from foe? What if the answers you seek are buried deep, waiting for the moment you're least prepared? As the shadows twisted, Sarah felt trapped in a snare of her own design. With nerves on fire, she gripped the key tighter in her pocket, heart racing. There was more at stake than she ever realized. Don't let him get to you, the man shouted again, voice breaking through her fog of confusion. Time hung heavy, and with it came an uncomfortable revelation. Uncertainty was more dangerous than she had ever anticipated. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the shadow lunged, a bolt of rage slicing through the air. A flicker of movement caught her eye as the door shook once more, reverberating with the force of their choices echoing through the night. That it was time to face the truth. Would she gamble on the key, risking everything for answers? Or would she fold, falling prey to the sinister game? With mounting horror, she realized she had to decide fast. The walls were closing in, but the question lingered in the air, thick and palpable. Who was really in control of the game? And what truth awaited them if they dared to unveil it? The shadow surged forward, and Sarah felt the air shift violently as it moved. Her instincts kicked in, pure survival mode igniting every nerve in her body. She lunged to the side, barely evading the dark figure's grasp, her heart hammering in her chest as it swiped at nothing but air. Run! Now! She screamed, adrenaline firing her limbs into motion. The man beside her hesitated, rooted by fear and uncertainty, but the urgency in her voice snapped him into action. They both sprinted towards the door, helpless against the terror looming behind them. Wait, we can't just leave, he shouted, casting one last glance back. Are you serious? We'll be the next victims. Sarah cried, urgency in each word. As they bolted out of the room, the shadow's furious growl echoed behind them, its voice a harbinger of doom entwined with rage. You think you can run forever? You're bound by the truths you hide. The corridor stretched dark and oppressive, each step seeming to lead them deeper into a nightmare. Cold sweat trickled down Sarah's back, the weight of fear pooling in her belly. What truth? She whispered, dread pooling in her chest. Shut up and run. The man replied, his voice tightly laced with fear. They darted down the hallway, every flickering light casting grotesque shadows that twisted and writhed like snakes ready to strike. Sarah's mind reeled a chaotic whirlwind of thoughts. What had the shadow meant? What truth was buried in the depths of her memory? How did it relate to them all? The hallway branched, two confusing choices ahead. One path led deeper into darkness, thicker shadows whispered and curled around its entrance. The other offered a dim, flickering light, almost inviting yet tinged with unease. Left or right? The man gasped, his eyes wide and desperate. Left, Sarah shouted without thinking. That's where I feel it, the flicker of hope. We have to take that chance. They veered into the dark corridor, silence a heavy blanket that stifled their breaths. It felt as though the darkness itself was alive, pulsating with dread. The air thickened, crackling around them as shadows danced, distorting their forms. Then, piercing through the stillness, came a chilling voice, smooth and hypnotic. You think you can escape? The shadows know your past, Sarah. They've seen your sins. She stumbled, the words echoing in her mind like a menacing chant. Stop it. Just stop. Panic bubbled in her throat. The man hesitated, glancing down the corridor. We need to keep moving, but before he could finish, shadows billowed behind them, morphing into haunting faces, memories of guilt and regret long buried. Flashes from Sarah's past assaulted her mind, each face more familiar than the last. Do you not recognize them? The shadow voice crooned. They've come to collect. They're here to remind you of what you've done. Sarah's breath hitched as she turned to face the darkness. Rage and fear twisted in her like a predator inside her stomach, threatening to swallow her whole. How could shadows bring forth so much pain? I won't let you haunt me, she shouted, her voice reverberating against the walls, defiant against the surge of terror. As if provoked, the shadows receded slightly, and she caught a glimpse of something glimmering in the distance, another door, slightly ajar, light spilling from within. Do you see that? She gasped, pointing. We have to, but as her words left her lips, a sinister laugh broke through the oppressive silence. We'll be waiting. Sarah, you can't hide from the truth forever. The shadows erupted, swirling around them with furious intensity. Run! The man roared, yanking her toward the glimmering door, but a familiar chill wrapped around them, an invisible force pulling them back into darkness. With each desperate step toward the door, an unsettling question gnawed at Sarah. Would the truth set her free or ensnare her further? As they crossed the threshold, the room exploded in light, and they stumbled, breathless and disoriented. What awaited them in this new space? The suspense weighed heavily. Would this be the key to their salvation, or a new layer of hell? The door slammed shut behind them with a finality that echoed through the silence, sealing them in an uncertain fate. Whatever happens next, we can't go back, Sarah murmured, fear and determination coiling together in her gut. But as they stood ready to face the unknown, a voice echoed from beyond the door. The game is just beginning. Her heart raced, knowing that the real challenge was still ahead, and the truth loomed closer than ever. The light enveloped them, blinding and warm, a sharp contrast to the chill of the shadows they had just escaped. Sarah blinked rapidly, trying to regain her senses. The room was vast, its high ceilings disappearing into darkness, but the walls were adorned with unsettling paintings, distorted faces, and turbulent scenes that seemed to move and breathe. Where are we? The man panted, pulling Sarah closer, as if the proximity would shield them from whatever threat might emerge. I don't know, she stammered, her voice trembling. But we can't stay here. They took a cautious step forward, the wooden floor creaking beneath their feet. A heavy scent of dust and something metallic hung in the air. Heart pounding, Sarah scanned the room, her pulse racing as unease settled in her chest. Had they truly escaped the shadows, or had they just leaped from one nightmare into another? Suddenly, a clinking sound broke the silence. A flicker of movement caught Sarah's eye, and she turned just in time to see her childhood teddy bear, long forgotten, perched on a table in the corner. It looked oddly pristine amidst the chaos surrounding them, its blue fabric a stark contrast to the murkiness of the space. No way, it can't be, her mind reeled. How is that even here? Focus, Sarah, the man urged, grip tightening on her arm. We need to move. But her heart was trapped in a vice of memories. The bear whispered of warmth and simpler times, yet the notion of it being here now felt like a taunt. Shadows danced at the edges of her thoughts, telling her this was no mere coincidence. The truth awaited her, just like the bear did, familiar, yet ominous. Yes, it is. It holds my past, she murmured, inching closer. The bear's button eyes seemed to glint knowingly, and Sarah recoiled, horror creeping into her bones. But it's just a toy. Just a Sarah. The man shouted, urgency cracking through her reverie. We can't get distracted. Please. With effort, she tore herself from the grip of memories and turned to the man. Right. We need to find a way out. Together, they forged ahead, navigating the eerie artwork and twisted furniture that adorned the room. As they moved deeper in, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Glances flickered from the distorted portraits, their expressions shifting into grotesque mockeries of her every fear. Can you feel that? She breathed, the air thick with tension. Like something is inside this room with us? A low rumble echoed through the walls, setting her nerves on edge. What if this place is a prison? His voice was laced with panic. What if we're meant to? What if we can't leave? Don't say that. She gripped his arm tightly, denying the chilling possibility. They needed to believe they could escape. Suddenly, the lights flickered, creating shadows that danced wildly around them. Whispering voices filled the space, overlapping chants that didn't belong but vibrated deep in her soul. Face who you are, they hissed, coiling around Sarah like smoke. She shuddered, the shadows threatening to pull her into the depths of her darkest fears. Stop. Just stop, she screamed, heart racing as memories threatened to resurface elusive truths that she had buried deep within. From the depths of the chaos, a figure materialized in the corner, indistinct but familiar. Sarah squinted, heart pounding wildly. The outline grew clearer and her heart sank. It looked like her younger self, staring back with wide, fearful eyes. The figure raised a hand, trembling, and whispered, "Help me, is that?" The man started, disbelief overtaking him. But Sarah sensed the reality more vividly than ever. There, just beyond the threshold of acceptance, lay the truth of her past. What does it want? The man's voice trembled, laced with fear and mounting desperation. I don't know, Sarah shouted, the weight of her truth pressing down on her. But I can't hide anymore. As she took a hesitant step toward her younger self, the walls pulsated again, the paintings shifting as if the very room was alive. A menacing laugh echoed. Welcome back, Sarah. Are you ready to face what you've become? What have I become? She whispered, her resolve faltering as the reality of her choices flooded back. The shadows thickened around her, enclosing her in a tight embrace. With her youth beckoning, the truth hovered just out of reach, flashing like the glimmering door they had just escaped. What awaited her as she ventured deeper into the depths of her past? Would she find the answers she so desperately needed, or would the darkness consume her entirely? Driven by something both terrifying and exhilarating, she stepped closer. Let us find out. But the echo of laughter taunted her, louder than before, summoning the darkness back to claim her once again. The darkness pulsed and swirled around Sarah as she took that step closer to her younger self, courage battling against fear. The ghostly figure gaped back at her, eyes wide with recognition, searching for the help it had longed for but never received. You know me. Please. The child's voice was a whisper that cut through the chaos, echoing memories Sarah had buried deep memories full of pain, loss, and dread. Why did I forget? Sarah breathed, realization dawning as her heart raced with both trepidation and determination. I need a key, the younger version murmured, glancing at Sarah's palm where the ornate key lay, shimmering in the strange light of their twisted surroundings. It struck her then the key was not just a means of escape, but a bridge to understanding. The truth of who she was, forged in the fires of ghostly memories, was tied to both her past and present. That fragment of her past held the fragments of her pain. Do you want to help me? Sarah whispered, feeling the weight of the choice ahead. Reality hung in the balance between fear and hope. The shadowy figure from moments ago loomed, laughter dripping with malice. You think you can trade chains for freedom? Every truth demands a price. No, she shouted back, defiance igniting within. This is my truth. I will not let your darkness dictate my worth. The walls trembled at her fierce declaration, shadows recoiling as if burned by her resolve. The younger Sarah extended her hand, trembling but earnest. You're stronger than you know, let us unlock it together. We'll connect the pieces. Sarah took a deep breath, gripping the key tight. All right, together then. With newfound strength, she approached her younger self, their fingers barely brushing as the key glimmered between them. Suddenly, the room erupted. It felt as if an explosion of memories enveloped them. Each face from her past flowed back to her, the friends she lost, the dreams she discarded, the fears that haunted her. Face it, the shadow commanded, but Sarah summoned all the strength she had left within her. These are my memories. I will not hide anymore. The darkness shrieked, the shadows twisting as if trying to escape her resolve. You're bound to the past. No longer, Sarah shouted, plunging the key into an invisible lock crafted by the shadows. In that moment, the memories merged, spilling forth into a cascade of light, pushing the darkness back, away from her heart. The shadow screamed, a sound echoing off the walls, drowning in the brilliance of her reconciliation. As brighter light enveloped them, Sarah felt the painful chains begin to break one by one. Guilt, shame, lingering regrets all shattered before their illuminating truth. The world around Sarah transformed. The distorted paintings began to morph into beautiful representations of her life. Friends, laughter, love, the essence of who she truly was. As the final remnants of shadows retreated, the walls solidified into a place brimming with colors and warmth. You did it, the younger Sarah cried, eyes sparkling with joy and relief. Heart racing, but peace flooding her body, Sarah knelt before her younger self, wrapping her arms around the child tightly. We did it together. It's over now. As they sat in the warmth of the newfound light, a door creaked open in the distance. We should go, the man urged gently, standing at the now unlocked entrance, hope blazing in his eyes. Let us go. Sarah turned toward him, her heart lightened. It's time to leave the shadows behind. With one last look at her younger self, she smiled. You'll always be a part of me. Thank you for helping me remember. Together, they stepped through the door, the light pouring in, leaving the darkness behind. With every step, her heart swelled with purpose, each beat sinking with the realization of her truth. Outside, the night was alive with stars, offering a new beginning, and for the first time, she embraced who she truly was, unafraid as they moved forward into a world rebuilt by the truth. She understood the game was never hers to play, but rather the secrets that defined her. And those truths, now embraced, would guide her on every new quest to come. Now, if you're still not subscribed to the channel, you need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let everyone know you love this conclusion. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What do you think is next for Sarah? Lastly, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans know how important it is to support the channel through these actions.